Excellent.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so, welcome everyone. We have a forum today, so which is good. On the meeting is online is Art, our team, Dave and Erica are online. At the town hall is Howard, John, Walter, Catherine over here to my right, and myself, Mark, and we have a guest, Tom. And so we have, like I said, we have a quorum, and I think we're ready to start. It's okay with everybody? Yes. All right.
Let it rip, Mark.
All right, so good. All right, so first thing I think is we are opening the meeting, which is at around 9:03. We'll review the agenda, and on the agenda is today is the period of public comments. We're going to review the minutes from our last meeting, which was in May. We didn't have a meeting in June because we didn't have a quorum. We're going to review the current committee scope. We're going to look at talk about the task force to investigate funding options to reduce stormwater runoff and silt contamination in the lake. I'll give an update on dam activities, and an update on the watershed-based plan. We'll talk about E. coli testing, and anything else that comes up. Yeah, does that seem reasonable to everybody? Yes, sounds good. Okay, good. So first we have a public comment, and any comments from online or from the room here? Nothing from town? So I think we're good there. Thank you. So let's take a quick look at the minutes from our May meeting. I don't know if you had a chance to review them. Give everybody a check a second to take a quick look at them. Make sure I didn't miss anything.
They look good to me, Mark.
Yeah, they're good. I wasn't there, but they look good.
Yeah, can't say anything, Eric.
I guess they will.
I'll put a motion out there to approve them.
Second.
Okay, let's go one more second to give everybody a chance here to take a quick look at them.
Say hi to El Whack.
Okay, you all set, everybody? Yeah. So we have a motion to approve the minutes, and second, we'll have a vote. Howard? Yes. John? Walter?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Dave? Dave says yes.
Yes.
Eric?
Abstain, I wasn't there.
Okay.
They won't let me vote.
And Art?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and Mark is yes, so we have, so the minutes are approved. And I'll send those off to
Great.
town clerk, and get them on, and get them put on the website. All right. The next thing on the agenda is to review the current committee scope. At our meeting in May, Tracy brought up a couple of items that she, including things like the lack of road maintenance plan, historical board membership she reviewed, a couple of items about the scope, proposed sewage treatment plan, which was in the original scope, and issues about road runoff. And I think she proposed two things. One is to eliminate the reference to LVAC as being a liaison between the town government and the lake community. And the second item was to eliminate references to membership of the lake community. So at that point, I can open it up for committee members to see what their thoughts are, and if we want to change the scope, or what's your thoughts? What's your feelings?
I see no reason to make any changes at this time. I don't think there's any value there.
I agree with Dave.
So, hi, John? Walter?
I don't see what, I mean, was there specific reasons why she wanted to eliminate? I know one was the members of the lake community as it separated the lake from the town, and it all really is the town and
Yeah.
residents. And the liaison between town government and the lake community, again, I guess it was separating the lake from the town in that aspect, but I think weren't we more of a liaison between, I wouldn't say the lake community, that's probably what it says, but more the association, and it was just giving them more balanced reference or guided reference to the town, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think my sense was that, she wanted to have more membership from people who are not associated with the lake. More town residents, not necessarily associated with the lake. Does anyone else have that sense? I mean, she's not here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I recollect it. But it's the Lake Wyola Advisory Committee. So, I mean, they were nice thoughts, but I don't think, like I said, I don't think they're really relevant to what we're doing here. And I just said, I don't think there's any need for any change at this point in time.
And certainly anybody in the town who wants to participate can come to the meetings or log in and, yeah.
That is correct. It's an open forum committee, just like any other committee in town. It's governed by bylaw. So
I don't think we're excluding anybody.
no, we're not excluding anybody.
Tom has a comment.
Are you allowed public comment in this discussion? Do you have a definition of lake community?
We don't.
And I think that might be part of the issue is that's not or associated with the lake. Those are two terms I've heard today. And I'm just thinking, that came up in the bylaw definitions of certain things that you're down on the weeks. And I'm myself struggling to find a definition I could write down of what the lake community is, and the title of the community doesn't mention.
Mark, all due respect to
So I think that could be a potential weakness. I have a definition first of what the lake community is before you then use the term. So if you could define it, maybe that could be a solution.
Okay. Dave, you were saying something?
I mean, all due respect to Tom, this discussion really should be held against members of the committee. Tom is not a member, and Tom has opportunities to present his thoughts during open forum. So I really think it's best to keep the discussion amongst the actual committee members and move forward, please.
I'm gonna make a motion to not act on changing the scope.
I'm going to second that motion.
Okay, so comments on the motion. So let's have a vote. So there's a motion on the floor to keep the scope as it is. Let's all vote on it. So Howard's yes, John's yes, Walter's yes. Dave,
Yes.
Art,
Yes.
and Eric,
Yes.
and Mark is yes. Okay. I think,
And that's not to say we can't look at it and maybe put some definitions in that makes it clearer.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
again, this was the Lake Wyola Advisory Committee. It had to do with everything with the lake
Yeah.
and the area, and that includes the people that live there and all that. Maybe it's not clearly defined. I mean, at that point, I don't think it was really worried that much about definitions. It was to get something to get that area and the residents down there more representation to the town and issues that were going on, and at the time, it really fulfilled what it was intended to do.
And the committee still fulfills its mission. So, but anyhow, we voted.
Okay, and one more, I think, to me, the lake community is anybody who uses the lake, whether they live there or participates in lake activities. And so,
Thanks, Mark.
okay. Next item, on the agenda. There, is, the task force to investigate funding options to reduce stormwater runoff and silt contamination. All right, so, there is a task force that was formed. I think there's probably maybe 10 people on it. Yeah, how many people on it?
I believe nine are currently, sworn
Yeah, so it's a good sized committee. There was, their initial meeting was a couple weeks ago, July 11th. What they're doing is they're using the latest, you can correct me if I'm missing anything here. Since Tom's a member of that committee, from task force, they're using the latest version or draft of the FERCog watershed-based plan, which talks about all the silt contamination issues in the lake, and they're using that to prioritize, where they want to focus their time. They're looking at predominantly silt contamination over the roads. The final version of that plan, I talked to FERCog this week, and they were hoping to get that plan, that their plan done by the summer, but that's not going to happen. It's not going to be until the fall. But it's still, it's a very informative document, and it has, if you kind of try to list all the big issues around the lake. And they also, FERCog also volunteered to participate in that committee and to come by and say, this is, and talk about funding options. From their perspective, where could funds be obtained to reduce silt getting into the lake? And so, yes, the task force has really just started, and but I'm very optimistic. It's nice to have a group working on this problem, and it really comes down to just money. The problems there, I think we all know what the problems, the major problems are, and Bob Douglas was talking about getting applying for an MVP grant, and I think he has some expertise in that, and so I'm optimistic.
Another grant option might be education oriented grants, which other platforms have identified. But I agree, it's exciting. The next meeting is August 15th. Thank you.
Yeah, it's in it, a significant part of the FERCog plan is education and in outreach to the community to, teach people what they can do on their own to reduce silt contamination to the lake. Art, you're on that committee, I think, aren't you also?
Sorry, I couldn't make that out.
Are you? Okay, I thought you were on that committee, but you're not, I guess.
No.
Okay, good. All right. Any other comments?
Just there's also the MVP grant, so-called, which is I think it's already been applied for this year, but that's another potential source of money that I think the plan was to try to get maybe Becky and maybe someone from the MVP committee itself to come and talk to us at the next meeting, explaining what the options are and what they can do and so forth. So that's another option. That's all.
So there's two resources that are available to that committee to explain potential sources of funding, which is excellent. Any questions or comments about that task force? Excellent. All right, so we're moving on to the next item, which is an update on the dam activities. So there's the company called, excuse me, company called GZA, which is an engineering company, that's out of Springfield. There are dam engineers now. And, they're focusing on two areas. Well, one is on the actual repairs and defining the scope of repairs that are needed for the dam. There's nothing really wrong with the dam. It just needs routine maintenance. So their engineer has conference calls with Morris Group, who was our previous dam engineer. And so there's a nice transition here. It's Morris filling in on all the details, what's going on. And so GZA is really up to speed, and they're just working on the scope. And so hopefully we can come up with a budget and get it into the town, get to the town, and get funding for that, to do the repairs. The second area they're working on is on the drawdown permits. And they met with, in June, they met with natural heritage and endangered species people. That we have that the bridal shine now is again listed as an endangered species on the lake, and so we have to get their approval for the drawdown. And when they met, when GCA, and I think Becky was involved, met with Natural Heritage Group, they felt, natural heritage people felt that they didn't have enough information to honestly say whether the drawdown affected the bridal shine or not. And so they were looking for more engineering evaluations to support the drawdown, specific things like, drawdown lengths, drawdown initiation, time to refill, which I think we defined all that stuff in the past. And that's all in the state regulations, it's all defined. And we're actually more conservative than the state regulations are. And so they just want more information before they make any determination. There is also a plan for GZA to meet with the Conservation Commission Chair and Becky, because the Conservation Commission has an ineffective order of conditions that's operational right now, and the Conservation Commission can extend that, and so they because they're the issuing authority, they can say, we're just going to extend the time of this or orders of conditions, and which will allow us to continue doing drawdowns into the future. That's kind of where that sits. So it's moving forward. It's moving. There's definite progress. There's definite challenges, but there's definitely there's a pathway to continue to drawdown and maybe to do it without spending a lot of money on engineering times and engineering studies.
Can I just ask, in the minutes, there was a thing about, in the very end of it was talking about how if we had document reviews that said that we hadn't increased the size of the dam since 1984, and did we have drawdown records and so forth, we might be grandfathered in, so to speak, to not have to get all these permits. Is there any kind of update on that?
Let's see. We have. Let's see. So there's the records of drawdowns, which I think we have enough information for that. And then so I think we're exempt from there. What was the other issue here?
Increase the size, which I don't think we've increased the size. I don't think we have.
Actually, it's just the opposite. We have proof through the dam engineering drawings that were done during the repair that we haven't changed the size of the dam.
Right.
That's okay. So since 1984, the issue comes down with documenting the drawdowns, and do we have a documentation that's been going on since 1984? And I think we do not.
Well, Becky was looking into that. Yes. At one time, one book is missing.
Yeah. So,
And at that time, I was working for conservation. So they were gonna check with conservation to see if they might have it. Because
And
I had the other books.
And I checked the conservation records. I came in here at the town office, to town hall with Carrie going through the conservation records, and we have a lot of stuff, but we don't have like the book.
Yeah.
You know, it says this year we draw it down, this year we draw it down, and so there's some gaps. All the records seem to be drawdowns for specific reasons. As opposed to, you know,
I think you have them from 82 on, that's when I started,
I don't think we have, is it 92 or, you know,
82.
that's the missing book, isn't it?
No, it's prior to that. Part of it, yes, but I had notes that I gave her of it.
Okay.
From 82 on. But,
I think 1984 is the cutoff, right? Don't it needs them since 1984? Isn't that how it works?
Yeah,
If you have them since 82, that should
yeah,
be.
well, I got my notes,
Right.
it was, you know, so it isn't every day. That I just, when we did something, I wrote it down, that's all.
But what did documented that when we did the drawdowns and all that, right?
And it somewhat, yes, was more like on the work details and. When they,
Maybe with a little interpretation on your part. I mean, it says here, I opened it up, and that was because we were starting to go down it. Maybe that would do it.
I think, right now, the plan is to see what Conservation Commission has to say before they continue working, to get the chapter 91 exemption. And it is not saying we can't do that, but I think the path of least resistance is hopefully get the Conservation Commission to just continue to reauthorize their orders and conditions. That's certainly the cheapest approach, and in terms of, you know, these engineering studies and stuff. But we're definitely, you know, there's still the possibility of getting the chapter 91 exemption, based upon what the information we have.
are we still authorized to do it this fall or not? Or
I
we gotta wait?
I think we're authorized to do it this fall because the order of conditions goes through the end of the year, so we can lower it.
Maybe can't.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Can't re-
Mother Nature will do it whether you want it or not.
But, you know, I think the GCA staff is hoping that we can, you know, and Becky is hoping, that, to work with Concom and, you know, just continue on basically doing what we've been doing for what we all know has been, you know, 30 years.
Yeah, it seems to me that getting that exemption would be really, really good though. Then you just never have to deal with it, period. I mean, you just would have the exemption.
Right, and save a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. And time.
Yeah.
Like 100,000.
Yeah, it's like if we have to go through the whole permitting process, it's gonna be a very expensive process. It's like $100 grand worth of engineering studies and, you know, it isn't like the last time I just did it myself. And you know, we just all sailed through. Now, you know, there's still a lot of lakes that are doing drawdowns on a regular basis. But I think it's because their conservation commissions, you know, just approving it. And the Concom is really the issuing authority. You know, they have control. They can take in information and comments from their, you know, state agencies and the public, but they're really the ones in control.
But if we had this exemption based on, past data, then is it true they would not be in control? We wouldn't have to go through that?
We don't have, I don't know the answer to that, Captain.
I think the answer is yes, you don't have to go through them. That's my guess.
That is my understanding as well.
I mean, the other thing occurs to me that if in fact over time, it says 1984 is the cutoff. Well, if we wait 2 years, is the cutoff 1986? I'm just asking. I mean, in other words, do we have the records from sometime in the relatively near future from 1984? In other words, if we just wait a couple of years, can then we get the exemption? Maybe I'm asking too many questions here, but that's the question that come to my mind.
Yeah, is it a hard date or is it so many years prior?
It's a hard-
That's the question. Thank you. Yeah.
So that doesn't change. If you wait 5 years, it's still from 84.
January
Okay.
1, 1984.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, all right. All right, that answers the question.
You know, and that's for all chapter 91 licenses, like, you know, for your docks, for dock licenses, things like that. If you have a dock that's been in place since, you know, since 1984, then you don't need a license.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh,
And it's all,
solves a lot of problems.
well, for some people it does. Some people it doesn't.
Although you gotta have the documentation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's there.
yeah, that's part of the problem. And you can't change the dock. You can't have made it, you know, increase the size or the
Yeah.
configuration, things like that. As I'm going to
To
adopt,
repair it, yeah.
I'm going to adopt the document right now, I'm working on it. I have one, but it expired. So, because when I bought the house, they didn't have that. So I'm not exempt. So it's it's one of those things. It's a process. Okay, that's, any questions on dam activities?
Well, in addition, was it last weekend or 2 weeks
What?
ago that we put the new anchors in?
Last, yeah, it was last weekend.
1 or 2 weeks ago, we put new anchors in for the ropes that hold the buoys. And we've got new ropes made up for the anchors that will hopefully be able to be left in place.
Okay.
That float with, you know, a full weight, so it stays underneath the water surface,
Yeah.
but easy to, you know, get in the springtime to just go out on a boat, take a hook and pull them up. Oh, there
Okay.
goes the generator.
Oh, generator.
They're gone.
They're gone. They'll be back. Good
I
time
thought
to.
we were gonna make it this time.
Oh, it's not an OWAC meeting without a little bit of halftime. You know, give me an opportunity to give my cat some more food.
We're joining all our Microsoft brethren who are out there trying to figure out why they bought Microsoft stuff.
Yo, I was at the bank at 5 o'clock this morning, still trying to clear up the wire system from yesterday. It's
I'll bet.
it's all set now. It's done. We're all set. But yeah, that was a nightmare.
Yeah. No, you know, it's amazing.
It is.
I mean, I'll
The
bet
software-
I was saying to my son today, I'll bet that company, Crowd, whatever the
CrowdStrike.
name. Yeah. I mean, their stock probably went from whatever it was to zero, like overnight.
Eric, it did. It dropped like 10 or 13%. And honestly, on Monday morning, if it's down again, I'm going to buy it.
And yeah, well, maybe either, yeah, and it'll be either a
They're
big
not
win
going,
or
they're not going anywhere. And you know, what's amazing about that is how widely spread the product is used. That just demonstrates their market share, you know?
Yeah, it does. Well, that's it's Microsoft's market share, right? That's what it boils down to. That's because that's what they were dealing.
CrowdStrike is its own publicly traded company, and Microsoft just happens to, you know, they talk the software essentially. So, but yeah, it's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, Y2K finally happened 24 years later.
Yeah. Well, and it just points out how fragile the whole system is at some level. It's like it's all these little things that have to work, and they keep working, but you know when they don't, hello.
The classic was I was scrolled on my X account, and then somebody posted a picture of their refrigerator, and it had the giant blue screen of death because it's one of these newfangled electronic refrigerators. You couldn't open it.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yep. And then did you guys see the picture of the, the dome thing in Las Vegas? They had that whole thing lit up with the blue screen of death. It was hysterical.
Oh, no. When I was a kid, or before I was born, my parents, when they were in their early marriage, bought a Westinghouse refrigerator, and it had a 1-year warranty. And the day after that, it died.
Really?
When I was a kid, you couldn't even, you'd go in the store like with my father. You'd say, "Go get the light bulbs." If you brought back a pack of Westinghouse light bulbs, he'd say, "Put those back. We're not buying anything from." I don't think he ever went buy anything from Westinghouse the rest of his life. He was so pissed off.
I had when I bought this cabin 20 years ago, it came with the General Electric refrigerator that was probably from the 70s. I just got rid of it this past year. Unbelievable.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
They should be back on soon.
I didn't realize that we kept in the meeting. Does this happen? I can't remember. Has this happened before where the remote people were still? Yeah, okay.
Because we're all here in the Zoom, so it's,
Oh yeah. We're not going through the generator, I suppose. You're right.
Hey, did you go to Green River this year, Eric?
I did. Most of it, not all of it.
They're coming back. Did you see Cake Friday night?
I did. They were good.
They were great, huh?
Yeah, they were good. I liked Bonnie Light Horseman. That was a band I liked.
Yeah,
those guys.
they were good. They were good.
Yeah. Did you were you working there or
I worked on Saturday for a good chunk of it. Friday night I snuck in just for Cake. I was actually on the stage backstage for that show. And
cool.
yeah, well, that's what you get when you work for the primary sponsor.
I hear
And
you.
I was there all day on Saturday though. After I get out of there, we closed it out. I don't know if I didn't like that last band though on Saturday night. I wasn't very happy with them, but whatever.
I think we left by then. We had a 2-year-old granddaughter with us, and she was getting kind of waterlogged. It's time to get out of there.
I think they're all back. So
Sorry for the interruption, but we all know the routine here. All right, so we were talking about just finishing up on the dam activities.
So possibly by this weekend, we'll have the new ropes in there too.
Okay.
Tomorrow, maybe. We'll see. If not, next weekend. And, but then they should be, taking those in and out should be a lot easier.
Okay, good.
Set up them at the top, pull the line in.
Yep.
So just so
Spring, I have to go out there with a boat or something.
Right, and these anchor ropes will be adjustable too, so as the water level changes, if we need to be out there with the new water, with a different changing water level, they're fairly easy to adjust.
good. All right. So just so everyone knows what we're talking about, there's buoys that are around the inlet or the inlet or exit of the drain, the drain pipe. For the lake, and keep people away from that because you can get there's quite a bit of suction.
Although,
They had a group down there, and the guy was swimming, he thought he was supposed to swim in that area. Oh, God.
even though it clearly says on 2 signs and it's printed on the ground, do not swim or fish within the marked area. They were fishing there, and we said to him, that's not a swimming area. You got to get out. And he acted like he didn't either understand us or just ignored us. But finally, Howie went over and talked to the parents, and he says, it's dangerous because you swim up there and it drops off really quickly. And he goes, oh yeah, I know, I found that out. I was out there all of a sudden, I was like, whoa! Right, and that's why you're not supposed to be doing it. Plus, in doing that, some rocks have been displaced and all that. So we're trying to keep people out of there and say, oh, okay, yeah, it's a good idea. It's like, but there it is clearly written. But it was interesting.
Okay.
hey, Mark, can I ask Howie if there's been any effect of the no parking signs as far as the amount of people accessing the dam? I'm curious about that.
Much better.
Much better. Okay.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago when Walter was coming down. I pulled up and I pulled down into the no parking so Walter could get into my parking space, and then I'd go after him. And 2 cars came along and parked behind me. So I had to tell him,
But the good news is the EPO officer stopped and asked us what we were doing. Are you the dam keeper? And how he goes, well, yes, I am.
That's the first time I've ever had them.
So they are.
But people, then I thought, because the state park was full, and they weren't opening it again until 1:30, no parking. So this is what used to happen too, people would come over there. Other than that, no, it's been really good.
I know we had a good presence of the environmental police in the lake these days.
Yeah.
And I think it's a welcome, it's good. it's nice to get some attention, you know, well, for the reasons, you know, for getting attention or not good, but it's nice to have, you know, someone coming on, checking, you know, making sure people have life jackets and boats are not overloaded and people have fishing licenses and, you know, doing, it's a good thing.
Are you saying that you've seen environmental police on the lake?
Yes, yeah, I think
Really?
I know of at least 4 cases where I've seen the boat out there.
Really? I haven't seen it once yet, so that's interesting. No, that is a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. Next item on the agenda is just an update on the FERCog watershed-based plan, which I kind of already talked about. The DEP has given their comments and back to FERCog. FERCog will incorporate those comments and finalize. They're hoping to finalize that by summer, but their workload, I guess, has increased for some reason, and so they're looking at the fall to finish that up. And that's kind of critical for us to get real state funding or what's it called? There's a couple of there's 501, 503 grants, and there's a 604 grants that are available. We can apply for, but we can't apply for them until the watershed-based plan is done. And so everything is, you know, moving along to slow. And we have this other group, this other task force is looking at, looking at other funding options too. So things are moving in all the right direction. Any questions on that or comments? If anyone wants to see the draft, I've got, I have a draft of that plan that was from last year. It's, you know, it's really nice work that they did. Yeah, excited to get it finalized. All right, next item on the agenda is just equal data update. Anyone, Catherine, have you seen the data? Is it look good still?
I have not been getting hard data, but I do get a link to the association data, and that's been exemplary week after week.
Okay, good.
And it's been quite low. I also got a report from Kennedy, which is quite low.
John,
Yeah,
before 4th of July.
yeah, he gave me his report.
Yeah.
Historically, we don't really get high readings until like August. I think so. So the fact it's low now is all positive. And you said that they're closing the state beach for terracotta reasons. Presumably, we don't see that.
Right after that rainstorm, and that's suddenly that water coming in from.
Never do it. What about that?
So town here is pull up some data from
The state dashboard.
okay, so they on the looks like 16th they had a high reading. The limit is the threshold is 61 and they're like over 100 it looks like, and so that's why they're closing the beach. Sure.
Thank you.
And oh yeah, Catherine, and you're actually right. Well, what else? Hearing that data? How'd you get, how'd you find it? What did you say, John?
I Googled beach closures, Massachusetts, and things like the Massac and state beach closing dashboard. Get all of the data that you put that. Certified.
Okay. So now, state beach closure.
Yeah, for public beach. This will definitely be an interactive beach water quality dashboard.
We should I'll put the links for both of these things, the different, and I'll put it on the LWAC website. Make a note for myself.
On a pen?
I got it, folks.
So, any comments on the whole idea or questions? I know last year we had talked about the possibility of,
Well, that should be in the good news.
we had last year, I think we had talked about the possibility of using some of our budget money to do some, some E. coli testing at the state beach when they were closed. I don't know if anybody wants to do that, just to get comparable data.
You know, we're talking about basically gut bacteria in both cases. I don't think that we would actually learn anything more by testing for the coli.
Okay. Right. Any comments, any suggestions?
I agree with Catherine on that.
Okay. All right, so. Then, let's see. Items that we did not recently anticipate prior to the meeting.
Mark, I do have a question. Do we think it's necessary, appropriate, et cetera, to have anyone on this committee join the discussion of the bylaws, of the voting bylaws committee that's being formed?
That's good. That's a good comment. A good question. So what Dave's referring to is sort of one of those items that we didn't anticipate. Is that there is the select board has formed a new committee to look at the voting bylaws of the lake, existing bylaws. And they haven't appointed anyone yet. They're looking for volunteers. We could certainly, if someone wanted, if we could recommend someone, if someone wanted to join that committee, it's up to the select board. But so what's happening here is, I think as a result of the accident that's occurred in the lake, that there's a number of people who want to, look at the bylaws and say, is it time, we need to make changes to them. Do we need to add stuff, take stuff away? And so David suggested David's question is, should LWAC, recommend someone from our committee to be on that committee?
And with that, I would volunteer to do that. I think I might be a good choice because I'm not a boater. I'm a kayaker. Lived on the lake for 20 years. So if the committee think this might be a good idea, then I'm willing to serve.
Yeah.
Volunteer anybody that's outside the committee, or suggest somebody outside?
We can suggest anybody we want. I mean, the select board is looking for recommendations. It's my understanding they want to mix of people from the lake, but people from the community at large. There's a fire chief and police chief will participate in the meeting, but they're not on the committee, but they're more in tune to what's the issues around the lake. The safety issues around the lake.
Yeah. I would recommend someone, Megan, check.
Megan, I think will be volunteering to be in that committee.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're gonna have 50 people volunteer to be on that committee, right? And
Can I just interject? We have had, speaking from the select board, I'm not speaking for the select board, but we have had a lot of people already that have suggested, including Megan, who have said they want to be on this committee. So yeah, there's be no problem with getting people. I think someone like David would be great. I think the idea really is, first of all, the idea is not to change the bylaw. It's unless that committee decides it needs to be changed. They may decide it does need to be changed, that's what they decide. But certainly the idea is to get a diverse group of people who both are, as David's suggesting, not boaters, not boaters, everybody, swimmers, non-swim, everybody. The idea is to try to get, because everybody wants to use the lake from all areas of this town, including obviously the people who live on the lake. So the idea is to try to get a committee that's diverse in opinion and ideas and share it. Basically, figure out how to share it. That's the bottom line.
Getting back to David's question, I think having a representative from this committee wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah,
No, I agree. I agree. That's great.
Is that something we should go?
Well, I'll make a motion that we recommend David to be on from a representative of LWAC to whatever the name of this committee is.
It's like Wyola Bylaw Review Committee.
Okay, there we go.
Second,
So let's have a vote. Howard?
Yes.
John? Walter?
Yes.
Kathy?
yes.
Art?
Yes.
Eric?
I'm going to abstain just because I'll be one of the people choosing the members of that committee. So I think I should just lay out of this. But I think it's a great idea. But that's just sort of off the record, if you will.
Yeah.
Since it's my name, I too will abstain.
All right, so we have the committee is approved to recommend that Dave be part of this committee.
I'll go through the formal contact. I believe there's a number to call the select board. Or Eric, are you going to just put my name?
No,
in?
I would say, right. I think it's the idea is to write an email to the select board saying, I want to be on it, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
You know,
I'll do that first thing Monday morning.
yeah, that'd be great. I think that's the way to do it. Thanks. That's a good idea.
Thank you.
And so I don't have to do anything? Sound?
Nope. I'll take care of it, Mark.
Okay, excellent. I like that. All right, any other items on that we can anticipate, or any other new items, new business? Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
It's, yeah, I think so. We have a second?
Second,
All right, I think everyone's in favor of adjourning, and so it's 9:50 right now, and we'll see you all next month.
Great meeting. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you all.
Take care.
Take care.
Stay here until the generator gets up.
That's right. Yeah.
right.
Done. Thanks in the meeting here.